Beyonce is one of the most loved artists in the world, with her fans spanning through all genders and sexuality. She's called the Queen and treated as one by her fan base and most of the music industry. Meeting Beyonce in public has made some celebrities weak in the knees, and it appears that the singer is aware of how much power she wields. But is Beyonce worthy of all the attention she receives? Or do her fans just support her blindly because that's how stan culture works?
Hello, everyone.
Or does she have so many supporters only because it's cool to say you're a fan of Beyonce? Let's get into it. Beyonce has been performing since she was in elementary school. Her dance teacher discovered her great vocals and helped her improve by encouraging her to get involved in school talent shows. When Beyonce turned 8, she auditioned to join a girls' music group, and that was when she met LaTavia Roberson, who would later become a major part of her success in the future. Beyonce and LaTavia became a part of a girls' group called Girls Time, with 3 other girls, but they were dropped before their careers could take off. The kids performed at one of the biggest talent shows at the time in the country, and didn't win. At that age, Beyonce was already a perfectionist because she blamed the failure of the group on the song they sang by saying the song just wasn't good. After the failed group, Beyonce was forced to mature quickly because her father then quit his job as a Xerox sales manager to manage the girls. It took a huge toll on their family as they had to sell their house and cars, and her parents had to live in separate houses. When it seemed like the group was about to get picked by a label, they would lose the opportunity, further sending the Knowles family into financial turmoil until Beyonce's parents separated. Finally, in 1995, the group was signed by Dwayne Wiggins' Grassroots Entertainment, and a year later, they also got a deal with Columbia Records. Beyonce's parents sorted out their differences and came back together, but it's not rocket science to know that the marriage only worked out because of the success Beyonce started to experience. It was almost as if she became the breadwinner of the family when she was less than 18, and that in itself is already enough pressure on one person. But the history of Destiny's Child is not why we are here, but the role Beyonce played in covering up a truth that was so obvious. As the group got more success, members began to grow and see things differently. 2 members of the group, LaToya Luckett and LaTavia Roberson, were dropped from the group in the most rude manner. They were coming back from a shoot when they heard the news that they had been dropped from a group where they invested their time and sweat. After getting dropped from the group, both artists sued Sony, the label managing Destiny's Child at the time, and also their manager, Matthew Knowles. LaToya and LaTavia claimed that they wanted to kick off their solo careers, but Matthew didn't want to back off from being their manager. Also, Columbia Records didn't want to give them new managers too. And instead of finding a way to amicably resolve the issue, they got kicked out of the group. Where does Beyonce come in this story? Beyonce and the other members left in the group released a song called Survivor and sneak dissed LaToya and LaTavia. The line said, "You thought I wouldn't sell without you, sold 9 million. The 2 artists that were kicked out of the group were major songwriters, so it seemed like the remaining members were telling them that they didn't care about their presence or not. LaToya and LaTavia then hit the group with a lawsuit, asking them not to perform the song anymore. The group's attorney called the lawsuit childish and said it was because they had nothing else to do. That was why they kept coming up with ridiculous lawsuits. LaToya and LaTavia, on the other hand, claimed that they were mismanaged by Matthew Knowles, who hid how much the group made so they couldn't be sure if they were being paid the right amount for royalties. We could say Beyonce was young, which explains why she didn't see what her father was up to. But after LaToya and LaTavia were replaced by Farrah Franklin and Michelle Williams, she was a little bit older. Farrah Franklin left the group after only 6 months, citing mismanagement as one of her reasons. The artist's last performance in the group was a mess, and that was when she realized she deserved better. Farrah Franklin was sick on the night of a Seattle performance, but asked her doctor to give her a shot so she could make it to the performance. But the other members of the group didn't seem to care that she was sick. After the performance, Farrah walked into their hotel room and all the group members started to attack her for the performance without caring that she was sick or not. Farrah Franklin decided to leave the group that night. Farrah Franklin said that nobody called her after she quit the group, despite her health condition. For 3 whole days, everyone was quiet. Finally, Michelle Williams called and asked her if she was going to be performing with them in Australia. She was perplexed and told them no. According to her, they were only asking if she would come so they could bash her and say she was the one who decided not to show up for practice. Shortly after Farrah left the group, Beyonce claimed that Farrah was always late to rehearsals and didn't take performances seriously. Well, it seemed like a lie because Farrah said if she was actually turning up late to performances, they would have fired her. Well, it seemed like a lie because Farrah said if she was actually turning up late to performances, they would have fired her.
Yeah, well, that's not true. I've never missed a show.
Farrah also cited mismanagement within the group, but Beyonce's statement about her kind of shut that down. Years later in 2011, Beyonce would fire her dad from being her manager because of funds mismanagement. It turned out that Matthew Knowles was embezzling funds, and although the artist claims that she's still on good terms with her father, she shut down other people with the same complaint and remained with him for years. Beyonce didn't give her group members the chance to express themselves after leaving the group because she was very quick to release statements about them and paint them in a bad light. The rumors about Destiny's Child existing solely to further Beyonce's career may not have been far from the truth because she's not the only one with an insane work ethic from the group. She was always placed at the forefront of the group and even did as she pleased, sometimes during performances. But if you talk about these obvious truths among the Beehive's, Beyonce's fan base, you would be shut down. Apart from her time in Destiny's Child, Beyonce has shown that she may be more concerned about chasing the bag than anything else. In 2019, she released an Afrobeats album for the Lion King live-action movie, and many Africans were in love with it because they were proud that Beyonce was singing with their artist. However, when the artist went on a supposed world tour after the album's release, she only toured Egypt, Ethiopia, and South Africa. Imagine getting most of your inspiration for an album from West Africa and also featuring lots of artists from the region, but not including them in your tour. What could be the excuse? It was as if Beyonce was telling the continent to feel blessed that she featured their artist, and that in itself is already embarrassing. Despite getting big bank off African culture, she has kept quiet about the issues going on in that part of the world. She has been silent about the genocide in Congo and the literal slavery in Libya. Beyonce even made matters worse when during a youth protest in Nigeria, she said she was going to send aid to the country. Why did she first think that the country needed aid? With a big platform as hers, why was her solution sending relief as if the country was asking for that? Obviously, Beyonce has never claimed to be interested in social justice, except showing support for the Black Lives Matter movement a few times. But she constantly capitalizes on social issues and moves back when it's time to show real support. Beyonce was attacked for premiering her Renaissance World Tour movie in Israel while the country was waging war against Palestine and trying to send the Arabs out of their home. The common sentiment has been that Black women are not treated well in Arabian countries. But isn't Israel also in the Middle East? How come she was able to overlook the mistreatment in one region, but not the mistreatment in the other? Although Beyonce gets hate for her stance, mostly silence, on social issues, she also gets unnecessary hate. She announced she was going to be releasing a new hair care line called Crecred, and everyone assumed she was going to target only Black women. However, she has a wide range of products, which caters to different hair types and textures that got her so much hate. To be honest, Beyonce is allowed to cater to whoever she wants to. The fact that she's African American doesn't mean that she has to create products that only make a certain demographic happy. Also, she doesn't need to constantly share her opinion on social issues. Beyonce may be helping low-key because she is a private person, or she might not care altogether, which is still fine. The artist is allowed to have a persona outside her music career. The only problem is when Beyonce's fans act like she's untouchable and above criticism. The artist is first a human before a celebrity. She's allowed to have her opinions, and because she's in the limelight, people would have an opinion of her. Her fans are allowed to defend her, but not paint a picture of her as an innocent celebrity who gets unnecessary heat. Beyonce has a great work ethic and is dedicated to her job. She has recently been bringing her daughter slowly into the limelight, and unlike most celebrity kid parents, she's not pushing her too much. But she's not above criticism, and it would do her fans some good to accept the truth.